counsel for her campaign?
A legal counsel? No, she was not.
Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Yagong? What's at stake here is essentially, Mr. Yagong is referring to it as a complaint. Just for the record, it's a correction. There was a request for this board to investigate further to see if there are any violations, specifically section 2-83, 2-84 of the County of Hawaii Board of Ethics. Taking the liberty to ask board counsel to draft a resolution spelling out our rules, procedures, and a resolution which would move this board forward and schedule an investigation to look into this further to see if there are any violations of section 2-83 and 2-84 per the request of the State Office of Elections.
And Mr. Dill, could I ask you specifically what points do you see at this point in time that would warrant such a need to move forward?
The fact that we don't exactly know what your capacity is in terms of your daughter's campaign, the allegations or the potential allegations that are set forth in this letter, also your role as the County Council Chair and having oversight of the County Clerk's Office and the Office of Elections for the County of Hawaii.
And what specifically is, again, the question, what specifically within that do you see as being a conflict or something that needs to be looked into? I just want to be clear as far as why this is being moved forward.
We don't have anything specific, and we need to know more and gather a little bit more information to ensure that there are no any ethical violations, or should there might be some, we need to conduct an investigation. That is my opinion.
Could I question to the Corporation Counsel?
Could I finish first, please?
Sure, sure.
All right, thank you. So what I'm trying to say is that we don't know, Mr. Yagong, and in order to get to the bottom of it, we would need to conduct an investigation. Right now, all we have is a request from the State Office of Elections asking us to investigate, and then there's a response from me as the chairman of this board, essentially spelling out our rules and procedures. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that opportunity, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Shane, is there a particular section of the code that has anything to do with the candidate that it would be illegal or unethical for a candidate to run for office or to seek election office if they have a parent that is an elected official? I can see. I want to try to see what's the nexus in terms of my involvement in my. I mean, she's my daughter, and if I wasn't elected as a chairperson, I mean, as a county council member, I would still be helping my daughter in running for election, whether I'm elected or not. So, is there something in there that maybe I'm not aware of that states that I cannot help my daughter in her campaign?
To answer your question, there is no specific provision, but I think what the board is looking at is your role in the election process, not specifically your daughter's campaign, but what is your role in the election process and whether or not that has any type of influence, I guess, over our campaign.
But the chairman has asked me several times about my daughter's campaign, so obviously there's something there that either he feels or the board feels that there's an issue there. So I just wanted that clarified, because the chairman not asked that, I think he asked that about 3 times about my daughter. So that's what I'm trying to ascertain. What is it exactly that...
Well, to echo what the council said is, being the county council chairman and oversight of the Office of Elections through the county clerk's office, there is potential for a conflict of interest. And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. And I'm sorry you feel that you stated publicly that this is a silly distraction, but really all we're trying to do is to preserve the integrity of the democratic process in the best interest of the County of Hawaii voters, so that they have some shred of faith that their vote does count without being unduly tampered or messed with in a way that might be a conflict. So what we're trying to get to is bottom of your role, oversight of the County of Hawaii Office of Elections, and if there's any conflict in your involvement with your daughter's campaign. It's more so your duties as council chair and oversight of the elections office that we're concerned with. Right? Does that answer your question?
Can I make a couple more comments if you don't mind?
Well, does that
No,
answer
thank
your
you.
question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Dill. It's just that, you know, when you have a situation like this, which obviously is going to be covered by the press, and a decision has been made to move forward, as a person that certainly has a stake in this, you know, I just want to get more clarification as to why. Hopefully you're not offended by my questions. I just want to make sure that I understand why is it that the board is asking to move forward. If you want some clarification in regards to anything to do with my role with the elections, I'd be very happy to answer those questions for you. But I just wanted to make sure that when I leave today, at the very least, you know, what we do ascertain as part of the record is when you take a look at what was brought forward as a complaint by the state election office, or at least a pass-through by the state election office, it talks about myself being a precinct official, you know, serving in that role, in that capacity. I want to make sure that that is completely stricken. That's number one. You know, number two, because you've asked me several times in regards to my relationship, my role with my daughter and her running for office. I just want to make absolutely clear that you know, as far as my role as council person or my role in dealing with elections has absolutely nothing to do.
So what you just said in terms of having a stake in this election, you're now saying you don't have a stake. You can have her read back the minutes, but you're talking about having the press here and having a stake in this election.
Well, as a person that's being complained about, I mean, it's my name on the docket, right?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, can I just interrupt just so that,
Sure.
you know, Mr. Yagong actually brought up a good point in that, actually there hasn't been a decision made as to what the board is going to do. So I think he said, you know, you guys have decided to move forward, and there has not, that decision has not been made. If the board were to initiate its own investigation or hold an informal hearing, your rules require the board to agree on that, and then a resolution has to be drafted so that the nature and scope of the informal hearing or the investigation is limited and everybody knows what it's about. So, you know, so it's clear. Nothing, as I hear, has been decided, and so.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard the chair say that they were going to move forward with a resolution, craft a resolution. Mary, did he not say that? I thought that's what I heard earlier.
Anyway, no, we haven't voted on anything, Mr. Yagong, yet. What I did say is that I asked council to draft a resolution for discussion and for a vote today. Okay? And what the draft resolution, which hasn't been voted on or decided on, essentially approves this board to move forward with an informal investigation to determine what your actions are, what your role is for the County of Hawaii Office of Elections. And as the draft reads, also to identify or determine whether or not, with respect to your role of the County of Hawaii Office of Elections, if there are any violations of the County of Hawaii Code of Ethics, specifically sections 2-83 and 2-84.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
As you sit before us right now, you're not the average father. So you can't come up and say, I'm doing what a father has to do. You're not the average father. You happen to be the chairman of the county council. That's the other side of the coin. All right? As chairman of the county council, you have a function within the electoral system.
Mm-hmm.
All right? We have to check into that to see if that function in the electoral system will in any way impact upon your daughter's candidacy. You see, that's the connection, the nexus. We have to see how they interact. That's what we're looking at, the interaction. So therefore, our viewpoint is, what is your role in the election function? Is it figurehead role, or are you operational? That's what we have to find out. So far, I haven't had no discussion on that particular point.
Okay.
And that's what we have to determine. If you're functional, if you're actually operational in the election process, it may have something to do with your daughter's running for office and the candidate that's running against her. You understand? So we have to be fair to both of them. So we want to know how you can in any way impact that. And that's what we're looking for.
Okay. I appreciate that. Then, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to ask Corporation Counsel whether or not your role as a chairman is a conflict in dealing with this issue. Because I think there's a conflict that you have as chairman of the Ethics Commission, being that I'm here, that I'll be here before you. And I'd like to have the Corporation Counsel make a determination if the chairman in dealing with this issue with me would be a conflict. And
Mr. Yagong, if you want to elaborate further, but I don't at this point see a conflict. This board is, the members are nominated by the mayor, approved by the council. They're empowered to interpret the code of ethics, to provide opinions to officers and employees. So I guess I don't understand.
then I'll elaborate. The reason I think that there may be a conflict with Mr. Dill in dealing with an issue before this body, because he is the chairman of the Ethics Commission, and whom I respect, by the way. But I think that there is a conflict in due to the fact that when my office had an opening for an employee to work, we placed an ad in the paper for an employee to work for my office. Mr. John Dill, as chairman of the Ethics Commission, called my office, called me up personally to ask me to hire his brother.
Wait a second.
And
Can I object to this? Because this is
No.
an event that I cannot even recall, and I don't even know
But Mr.
why
Dill,
I
if
would
you-
recommend my brother.
Mr. Dill, if you can't recall this, Mr. Dill, then you should not be sitting as chairman of the Ethics Commission. You called because your brother, you called me
When was
to
this?
ask me.
Can you provide a date?
We'll provide you with that, sir. And
Can
I'm
you
just
provide
asking
a transcript
I'm
of that?
asking the
Can you
Corporation
answer my
Counsel.
question? Can you provide a transcript of that conversation?
You're denying this, Mr. Dill?
Can you answer the question?
Are you denying this? Because I will put
All right,
you.
look,
Are you
I'm gonna-
denying this?
Look, I'm gonna cut you off now, all right?
Are you
From
denying
here at
this, Mr.
point-
Dill?
From this point. Yes, I'm denying
Oh,
it.
then you're going to be in more ethical trouble than anyone else that ever come before the Ethics Commission.
Mr. Yagong, may I point you to section 80.5 of the rules of procedure of this body? It says that you feel as if anybody on this body may be biased or prejudiced against you in any manner, if you can file an affidavit stating so, and we would take that up. All right?
So would you rule on that, Ms. Deputy?
No, I don't rule on it, the board rules on it. So, Judge Henricks has cited the proper provision, it's 1.15.
Now, let's make it just for the record, and I would ask that Mr. Dill be recused from dealing with this issue because I believe that there's a tremendous conflict on his part.
Chairman Dill, Jamae Kawauchi, Hawaii County Clerk. I would also like to make a disclosure concerning possible conflict of interest on behalf of the chairperson, John Dill, of this Ethics Commission. In July of this year, you requested that I be removed from my office and that our office be shut down and placed under the control of the State Attorney General's office or the U.S. Attorney General's office. So the question that I have is, if you're going to ask Mr. Yagong about his operational relationship to the elections office, what is your operational relationship? Because that was not a matter that was brought before this commission. It was done personally by you,
Yes.
without on county letterhead, on elections commission letterhead, based upon communications that you had with persons that you did not identify. My understanding is that those offices that you requested to take over the elections office, based on a performance audit, an audit of a voter registry that I performed, which has been in the process of being investigated. Hawaii County Police has just announced that it's being investigated. They opened an investigation, it was announced yesterday. A completely legitimate process, which is being investigated properly by,
Can you get to
excuse
your
me.
point, please?
Oh, my point is, you have an ethics problem, is what I think you've got, because you're trying to get into the operations of our office.
I wrote a letter requesting that others look into the Office of Elections as a private citizen because of the concerns that were surfacing by the public at large and the elections, okay? I'm a voter, I'm a registered voter, if you can maybe double check that, make sure that's the truth, okay? And that has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with Mr. Yagong, or the letter and the investigation that was requested by the county, the State Office of Elections.
Well, this,
Now,
One
hold on,
second,
we have
Jimmy.
something on the table right now, Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, as I stated, if you have a quandary about him sitting here, either one of you, according to our rules, you must file an affidavit before this board stating that quandary, why you feel he should not sit.
I will
And
do
the
so.
board- Okay, wait a minute, let me finish. And the board at that time will take it up as a matter on the agenda between the rest of the three of us, and we would decide whether you have him properly challenging as to bias and prejudice, all right?
I will do
Okay, so at this point, what I'll
No,
do is I'll
Mr.
cut off
Mr.
any, hold on, I'm done.
Mr. Dill?
At this point, what I'll do is I'll limit the communications now between this board and any further potential actions based on this request by the State Office of Elections. Do we have any comments?
Yes.
To this board?
I move this time we continue this particular issue until he has an opportunity to file his affidavit.
Council, what are the rules requiring the timing on the affidavit?
It's not specific as to timing.
Okay, so,
Reasonable time.
Mr. Hendricks, could I address you for a second?
hold on, wait a second.
Yeah, no time, so.
Okay, so what's the next process then? Ms. Kawauchi or Mr. Yagong will file an affidavit with this board, right? Which will be discussed at the next meeting?
Yeah, that would be the normal procedure.
All right. So do you guys have any problems with continuing this then?
I have no problem with continuing this discussion.
Not only we can't move forward at this point if that issue is still there, so because until we decide whether he's qualified or not, we cannot go forward.
Yeah, the only point I wanted to make, Mr. Hendricks, was this. I think you made a very good point when you said.
All right,
Mr.
so why don't we
Yagong,
move
you're not
forward with a vote
you're
on
not
this?
just
Why don't we,
another
I'm
father.
done, okay?
Same thing with
I
Mr. Dill.
told
He's
you.
the chairman of the Ethics Commission.
Mr. Yagong, I said I'm limiting the discussion right now between the board, okay? Please do not speak unless spoken to.
He looked at me.
Oh, he
and
looked
told
at
me
you,
to
did he speak to you? Okay, stop, all right, stop. Okay, so this board, do we have any further discussion on the further actions of this? We're gonna continue it? If we are gonna continue it, can we get a motion and then maybe
I
discuss
made the
between us?
motion.
I second that motion.
Okay? Do we have any discussion between the board? All right, so on the table, we have a motion to continue further proceedings with communication dated 8/31 and a corresponding 9/5 response to next month's meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Moving on, new business.